passionate about Cleveland sports.
He's going in, touchdown!
Browns, Indians, Cavs, the Big Ten, and more.
Cleveland is a city of champions once again!
Andy and Jarid, Cleveland and beyond.
A swing and a drive! To deep right!
Here are your hosts, Andy Billman and Jarid Watson.
Hello and welcome, Andy and Jarid, Cleveland and beyond. The show is a part of the Pulse Podcast Network. I'm Jarid Watson along with Andy Billman, and the Browns offseason is in full gear right now with the trade today, which of course will become official in about a week, but we already know that, right? With the New York Giants. But first, let's hear from our good friends at TixBlitz. They are the official ticket provider for the Pulse Podcast Network.
Have you been searching for the best ticket deals around? Well, look no further. With TixBlitz, the price you see is the price you pay. And TixBlitz just happens to have over $6 billion in ticket inventory just waiting for you. They absolutely mean it when they say every ticket, every venue, everywhere. And you can save even more with promo code PULSE in all caps to save you 5% off your total purchase. Just go to TixBlitz.com and click the search bar. Search events based on your geographic location, pick the show you want, and bam, it's showtime. Sporting events, Broadway shows, concerts, and more with TixBlitz.com. And while you're there, be sure to sign up for the email newsletter so you can stay up to date on the latest news and savings with TixBlitz. That's TixBlitz.com, TixBlitz.com. Every ticket, every venue, everywhere.
So, Andy, after 24 hours later,
Cleveland Browns.
following the rumors that the Browns were in talks with the Giants over Odell Beckham Jr., it turns out that they actually are in talks with the Giants, but it's a different move that has happened here. The Browns are getting outside linebacker Olivier Vernon, and they are shipping off right guard Kevin Zeitler. Ironically enough, not but 6 hours ago on Twitter, the Browns' official Twitter page wished Kevin Zeitler a happy birthday. Awkward now. Andy, I love the move. I think you do too, right?
Yes, and let me just say, for everybody out there on Twitter, which I'm surprised about the reaction. I am very surprised about the reaction on this.
Yes.
Most people seem to be in a scramble. It's a right guard. Life is fine, okay? Zeitler was a good player, but when you draft Austin Corbett at the top of the second round, you need to put him in place. We mentioned on the last podcast, this is what successful organizations do. You have to put Corbett in. They've seen Corbett in practice. Jarid, I think that's a good move. And to the bigger point here, they need another defensive lineman who can rush the quarterback. And Vernon did that last year for the Giants. He's not in the top 8 cut of pass rushers. He played in a 3-4, but can play in a 4-3. He did last year get 7 sacks. He hit the quarterback 21 times in 11 games. That's pretty good.
Well, I like the idea that he's versatile enough to slide back into that linebacker position and then move back up. Obviously, he's going to play opposite of Myles Garrett. I guess if things got super crazy on defense, he could slide back into the linebacker position, which, of course, the Browns, in my mind, that's where they are struggling the most. But in that regard, I think also going back to the Zeitler move and talking about forcing Corbett on the field, this has kind of been John Dorsey's MO. You know,
that's right.
He did it with Nick Chubb. You know, you move a player to force a player on the field, and that's what's going on now. Not that it's the same scenario. Of course, he's got probably a better relationship with Freddie Kitchens than he did with Hugh Jackson. But we've seen John Dorsey make moves like this in the past, and to me, this is a win-win situation. The Browns also are moving up in the draft. They're taking the Giants' 132nd overall pick and giving them the 155th overall pick. And look, this wasn't, as much as I love how good this move was for the Browns, it's not a bad move for the Giants either, because we know how much they struggled with how many times. I mean, every time Eli was dumping the ball off. Every time I watched the Giants, or he was getting tagged. You know, it was terrible for him on the line.
For Browns fans who don't know, the Giants' offensive line was terrible. It was a major story weekly in New York. It was a major problem. Yeah. I've heard this from many people, and I talked to a couple people. It's a fair trade. This is not a bad trade for either team. It's a very fair trade. I'm going to focus on the Browns going back, and then we'll hit the Giants real quick. But going back to the Browns, Ogba did not impress me last year.
Yeah.
I thought in his first year he played pretty good at times, but he wasn't great, but that's a rookie. Jared, I thought that was his best year. I think it's slowly declined since then. He has not made the jump. He is not consistent.
No.
He doesn't jump off the screen. I don't think he's terrible, but if I'm being truthful, I thought Jamie Collins made more plays than Ogba last year.
I can't argue. I can't argue against that at all. Ogba, well,
he didn't make plays.
Granted, who knows? He had his foot surgery. He was gone for the last 6 weeks of the season too. I think that that's the Browns are going to move on from. I mean, it really is that's where that's going to be, in my opinion.
I think it's the beginning and the end of Ogba too. And by the way, I'm okay with that. I think the Browns need to get better in this position. I'm a big believer in pass rush. You have to have a strong pass rush to win big games, and this is the first step. The Browns are in a position in the first round. They're not going to get those kind of guys drafting where they are. So to get a Vernon really helps. They also need to keep adding depth. They need to really add depth. The linebackers you mentioned, but the defensive line still needs some more shifting. This is the first step. Corbett, I think, is ready for the spot. Is he going to struggle? Is he not? We don't know yet. I do trust in Dorsey. I trust in his team. And Zeitler, again, it's a guard. Out of all the 11 positions on offense, right guard is number 11. I'm sorry. He's the least important position. Center is more important. Definitely.
No, it only gets scary
if
if Baker decides he's going to throw left-handed.
Right. That's right. So I don't see this freak. I'm surprised about this freak out.
So I'm surprised about it, but I've had this conversation with you, Andy, where I do worry a little bit about the offensive line. But I guess my point is I'm no more worried now than I was before. This doesn't.
Well, that's my point.
Because you swap out a Zeitler, you swap in a Corbett. Look, as long as Baker's not getting thrown on his ass, I'm happy. Right?
Well, right.
What are we asking for here?
And remember this. Robinson's only played 8 games. So if you really want me to be fair, Robinson's still in question. Yeah. There was questions anyway. So I don't want to hear this mess up. I just think that's the right move to do. The Browns needed to make. I think that this is a move that the Browns need to make because they were short a defensive end. If people who listen to this podcast, I've been screaming it. I've been felt that way forever. I think you need an interior lineman too. And then I think you need some linebackers, as you mentioned. I agree with you. So those are the big focus points. I think this checks off a big box.
Huge box. My gosh.
I liked it. And by the way, I like this trade for the Giants. I live in this area of the country. Folks, the Giants' offensive line was a joke. It was a joke. They were cutting players left and right all year. Zeitler really helps them fill a gap. The money's about even. The Giants only saved $1.5 million. That's not a lot of money. And the Browns, obviously, they have so much cap room. That's just a drop in the bucket. So I think it makes a lot of sense here. I do like this move. I'm glad the Browns are making moves like this because it helps put in place what they're going for. They need a better pass. I'm telling you. Browns need a better pass rush.
When's the last time we've seen a regime make strategic moves like this? I can't remember. I swear to you, I cannot remember the last time they did anything like this. That just I looked and I went, oh wow, this is a move that first of all, it's not a big it's not a front page right home to your mother type move.
Yeah,
but it's solid, man. It is solid. It is strategic. It is well thought out. It makes sense.
It checks a lot of boxes.
It just does.
It checks
you've
so
talked
many
about
boxes.
it. If you get a guy that can even that can rush the passer to the point where you're getting 7-8 sacks on the opposite side of a Myles Garrett, Andy.
Huge help. It was so evident to me watching the Browns last year that Ogba wasn't putting enough pressure on the line like Myles was. It was so evident watching games that it became more apparent. And in fact, I think that's the one big downfall Greg Williams did. I think he overestimated Ogba's talent. Ogba was not as good as we thought he was. This was the proper move. I like this move a lot. I am not concerned about the 3-4-4-3 things. He's played 4-3. I think we're okay there.
Right. I think he's flexible.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think Ogba's going to be here. I don't. I think I don't think the Browns are done with the defensive line. I think they're going to draft, and I think they're going to pick up more. Yeah. And now to the bigger question here before we get to Mr. Grove. I don't think the Browns are done. And I don't think Beckham this affects Beckham's if the Odell Beckham trade happens, which is still very questionable, obviously, I don't think this has effect one way or the other. I think
Right.
it's a very separate thing here to happen today.
If anything, it shows that the teams can work together.
Yes, it shows the teams can work together.
Right.
And I think it lays a foundation for what can be done. I still think with enough discussion, if Dorsey really wants to make this move, I think he can pull it off, even with this deal happening today, Jared. I don't think it affects anything in case he wants to make that trade. And I don't think the Browns are done. I think the Browns are going to make a couple more moves, and this is the first one. And again, I like it. I give it an overall a good, solid B plus, A minus. I like this trade. I think it helps. And again, I think it's the same grade for the Giants. The Giants need offensive line help. I like the swapping of picks, obviously. The Browns move up a little bit more. I think there's one or two more to come. I think the Browns are not done trading. I think one or two more trades to come, and I like it. And again, not to beat a dead horse, but I guess we'll beat a dead horse. If you draft Austin Corbett at the top of the second round and you don't play him this year, and we mentioned this on 2 consecutive podcasts, Jared, it's not good. You're not using your draft pick and you're not using your talent to the best of your ability. You have to do this. Dorsey's saying to himself, I trust my judgment. I trust my draft analysis. This kid can play. It's time for this kid to play, and that kid's being Corbett.
And it also tells me they're going to shuffle some more on that offensive line. We already expect that anyways. We don't know exactly what's going to happen at center for good. We don't know exactly where Bitonio's going to fall in line there on that offensive line necessarily. I mean, we know where the chips may fall when it comes to the offensive line. But if you're going to tell me that this is it, and now we have to worry all of a sudden because we're trading Zeitler, give me a break. Give me a break.
I agree with you. And now let's go to more of this with Hayden Grove.
Joining us now for some more opinion and analysis, Hayden Grove of Cleveland.com. Hayden, now obviously nothing's official until Wednesday, but this move sending Zeitler to the Giants and grabbing Olivier Vernon, in my opinion, bolsters that defensive line for the Browns. It feels like a net positive for both teams, as Andy and I have already discussed. What do you think, and what's the vibe in Cleveland? Because we're seeing some negativity on this move via social media.
Yeah, I mean, there is negativity, and I don't really understand why. Leave it to Cleveland to. I'll put it this way: I don't think there's any other NFL city that falls in love with the offensive line as much as Cleveland.
Well said. Right guard.
Yeah,
Jesus.
I mean, God bless Cleveland for loving the offensive lineman. I totally get it, but it's real. This trade makes perfect sense to me. You needed an edge rusher. You needed a pass rusher. You needed a guy on that defense who will bring you speed and intensity, and you had the money to spend. And it seemed like he needed a change of scenery. He wants to be on a competitive team, and Cleveland will be that. I mean, yes, he's expensive, but that's not a big deal because the Browns have the money. And Zeitler, okay, it's fine. He was a great guard, but that's what he was, the guard. And I understand that having a good interior offensive line can make your running game that much better, can help your quarterback play, whatever. But first of all, you already have 2 really, really good interior linemen in Joel Bitonio and J.C. Treader.
Yes.
Second of all, if you really think Austin Corbett can play, which you drafted him 33 or 32 overall, whatever.
Top of the second round. Yeah.
Yeah. You drafted him there for him to play. You didn't draft him there to sit. So I don't get the dislike behind this move. I mean, yes, Kevin Zeitler was a great guard, but he's a very expensive guard. If you're going to spend money, spend at positions where, you really feel like you can be a playmaker and be a difference maker. And I think that's exactly what they're getting in Olivier Vernon. So PF, I don't really usually always look at PFF, but they said that he was the best defensive player on the Giants by a lot last year. Yep. I remember him when he was in Miami. I think he was at Miami when I was there for a year. And for the year that I was in Miami, I think he was there. Or maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm making that up. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, it's a good defensive player. And I think it makes perfect sense with everything else going on.
You must have been listening to us because you hit every note we did. It's a fair trade, first of all, and the Giants' offensive line was terrible. The Browns need more pass rushers, and I think this gets to the bigger point here. And by the way, I agree with you. We just had the same points. I want to repeat it. The Corbett points, what we're thinking too. I mean, we said everything here. I mean, not only are you a nice guy, and I'm really starting to like you a lot, but this is exactly, you must have heard our podcast earlier. Here's the other thing too. I don't want to pick on Agba, but Agba to me is just average to below average. I'm not seeing a lot here. I don't see a guy here who really threats. Vernon's going to put pressure more on the ball, and I think actually with now Garrett on the other side, I think Vernon's numbers go up. I think it's a great trade, and the Browns needed to improve the defensive line. Just needed to.
Absolutely. And now I think you can actually make a case to perhaps put Agba inside.
That's right.
So if you feel like he wasn't a great outside guy, I mean, he wasn't really getting better. He had some moments, but maybe now you move him inside and you get long, lengthy defensive linemen. I mean, I think it's not a bad idea. And I'm more just shocked by the thoughts about the right guard position, how important it is. I think, yes, the offensive line as a whole is important. Yes, you're losing a veteran, but you still have some really good pieces there. You just brought Greg Robinson back. You have a good right tackle in Hubbard. You have a great left guard in Antonio. You have a great center in
Treader.
J.C. Treader. And yes, offensive line is important, but I don't think it's as important as edge rusher in the NFL.
Oh, it's not even close. Look, again, I'm not trying to pick on right guards, and every right guard out there, look, I love you. You're position 11 in importance. You're the last position here of importance. There's just way too many other things that really cap off, and the Browns need to put more pressure on the quarterback. I don't think the Browns are done trading. If you had to guess, if you're at Vegas and you say Browns make another trade, I think they do. What do you feel? What do you think?
I would think another defensive player. I was thinking another defensive player. Maybe not a defensive end again or an outside linebacker, but maybe they go inside linebacker. Maybe they, get a guy to fill kind of that hole that I think they have at the linebacking group. I don't think Kirksey and Gilbert are enough.
That linebacker position has got to be the next spot that they solidify. It really does. It really does. And I really think this too, that Olivier Vernon, he has experience in the linebacker position as well. I feel like there's that it not only helps with the pass rush. I just think that him being on the field is going to help them in regard to the run game and the run defense that they just were absolutely atrocious with last year in several moments.
I totally agree, and it's not like, again, I think the thing that people are missing one more time, and maybe they're not missing it, maybe they're just choosing to ignore it, is that they drafted this guy 33 over, like 30.
That's right.
I keep messing it up. They drafted him with their first pick in the second round. That's not somebody you can just give up on. I don't think that's even remotely close to being fair. So I think it's a great deal. I think it's a very fair deal for both teams. Giants get what they want. They want an offensive line that can lead the way for Saquon. Browns need more help on defense, and I think it's perfect.
I agree. I think sometimes people too try to say who got robbed. No one got robbed here. The Giants need to make this. The Giants' offensive line was terrible last year, so they need to make an upgrade on that, and that makes a lot of sense. Now shifting just to mystery land. I don't think this if and it's a big if Odell Beckham happens, which obviously checking on Twitter from hourly is either going to happen in the next hour or never going to happen again. But I think what this shows is I don't think this trade affects the Giants and the Browns if they end up agreeing to something with Odell. I think if anything, kind of what Jared alluded to, and I kind of agree, it shows that they can work out something. I don't think this affects if Odell's still in play, and that's a big if. I don't know if it is or isn't, but in my opinion, this doesn't affect anything. This trade today, nothing.
Yeah, no. It doesn't affect anything in regards to Odell. It doesn't affect anything in regards to the only thing it affects is the fact that the Browns now, again, Austin Corbett's going to have to play, and Olivier Vernon is going to be a good pass rusher. I think that's the only thing that can come of this deal. I don't think it has anything to do. The Browns could still be talking to Gettleman, still be on the phone about OBJ, but I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't. I don't think that's going to happen for a couple of reasons. I think John Dorsey's too smart to give up too many assets for a guy like that. He can go get a Tyrell Williams, who is young, big, tall, can be very productive with Baker Mayfield. Again, I think the point that people are missing, and I apologize, maybe it was with you guys. I was talking about this with Tom Brady. It was with you guys. Tom Brady makes his receivers what they are, right? A good quarterback makes his receivers. Now, a great receiver can also help a quarterback. Right. And I'm saying that Baker Mayfield can help a guy like Tyrell Williams, can help a guy like Antonio Callaway become a star receiver. I mean, it's not as though Odell Beckham did it all by himself. At least Eli Manning is a twice Super Bowl winning quarterback. He's no slouch. So I think it's important to consider that and important to think about not giving up so many assets for one player as opposed to getting a great receiver, but having to give up all these, picks and pieces and whatever.
Hayden, I want to switch gears a little bit because I, for one, like many Browns fans, enjoy basking in the misery of the Pittsburgh Steelers, whether it be the team or the fans or whatever. This Antonio Brown situation has gone off the rails, man. Off the rails.
Yes, it has.
And, is he threatening retirement? Is that why the Bills, did the Bills back out of that deal because he'd refused to go there? Which, by the way, to be honest, I feel terrible for the Bills. There's some sort of connection, I think, sometimes between the Browns and the Bills in some ways, between those fan bases. And I really do feel for what they're kind of experiencing right now. And this is another example possibly of a guy of Antonio Brown's caliber not wanting to go there. And that's on the flip side of this issue. But as for the Steelers, what a train wreck. What do you think about all this?
Yeah, it's not good. I mean, I obviously would have liked to have seen Antonio Brown in Buffalo because I am with you. I think there are obviously connections between Cleveland and Buffalo, kind of snowy towns down there. They've had this reputation of being down there low football wise. I think both teams are on the rise, though. I think Josh Allen is he was my quarterback last year, and Baker Mayfield was my number 2, but it looks like that's flipped for the Browns' favor, and that's a good thing. But Josh Allen still, again, I think he's got a lot of talent. I think he's going to end up being a good quarterback. And Antonio Brown really would have helped him, I think. I think that's the case. That's a scenario where you want to get a good wide receiver to really help your quarterback develop as opposed to the opposite. But, I feel bad for that situation. Pittsburgh, I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. I hope that for their sake, I hope they get a good deal. But I don't see it happening. I don't see them now with all that they've gone through. I don't see somebody, giving them the gauntlet for Antonio Brown with all the drama that he's caused.
You're nicer than I am, Hayden, about all of this because I enjoy every bit of all of this. I am so tired of that team that I think that a little bit of humble pie for everyone is good at times, and this is their time.
I'll double down. Yeah, I'll double down. That's a 4-alarm fire with Antonio Brown. That is a fiasco. And I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do if you're the Steelers. I don't know what you do.
You're almost to the point where you'd be better off cutting them and just saying see ya and forget it. Although you know what happens if that happens. I mean, we already know what might end up happening anyways, right?
I think yeah.
Listen, where would it make sense for a guy like Antonio Brown to end up? Like where like just the way that life seems to work on a regular basis, where does AB end up? New England. I mean, it's just
That has it written all over it, in my opinion. What do you think, Aiden? I think he's going to the Pats. I do. I think at the end of the day, I think this will all. I think here's the one problem the Steelers now have. They have backed themselves in the corner. They don't want to make anybody in training division or the Patriots. Well, guess what? I think that scares off every team in the league. And I think the Patriots, they're that one team. You know what? We don't give a crap. We'll trade our first round pick. Yeah, exactly. They're just. I could see them ending up there. I really can.
What do you think, Aiden?
I could too. I absolutely could too. We have a little bit of breaking Browns news, not huge news. Browns have tendered Hollywood Higgins, Trevon Coley, and Jermaine Whitehead. So 3 guys tendered 2 exclusive rights free agents and a restricted free agent. So there you go. Hollywood Higgins on the Browns' radar.
Wow.
Well, that's good.
I was kind of hoping that would happen.
Yeah, I liked Higgins last year. Again, he's not going to make a Pro Bowl or anything, but he's a good, steady pro receiver.
Makes a difference when he's on the field.
Yes, he does. He knows
and
when he's not.
That's the guy that Baker Mayfield makes better.
I agree. That to your point, Hayden. Well said. That
Baker Mayfield makes better.
I agree. And then you know what? Higgins played hard last. You know what? One thing. Go down Higgins real quick. Higgins has done a nice job progressing as a receiver in this league. He really struggled his first year. He got a little better. He's gotten a little better. And I got to give Higgins kudos. It's a lot of guys can mentally check out. We've seen the Greg Littles. We've seen other guys just mentally check out and phase out. Good for Higgins. He's earned this. And I know he just got tendered. It's not he's not going to get a huge contract here, but I'm happy for Higgins because he's really proved himself on this team. I thought last year. I thought he played well.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was going to say he played well. I was going to finish off with this great one-liner, then you should go, Aiden. I thought he played well last year to the point where he's earned the right to come back.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, he was one of those guys that I was thinking, he's going to be one of these guys that gets cut, late round guy, not going to do much, whatever. But you know what? He stuck in there. He got improved. He worked hard, and he absolutely got better. So that's a very important and good thing. And I'm happy for him that he was able to stick it out and find a real connection with a guy like Baker Mayfield.
No, I agree. All right, I'm going to transition quickly to the round ball. It's one thing to lose to my Boilermakers on a Saturday and senior day where Carson Edwards is hitting shots from half court. It's another thing to lose in Evanston the way the Buckeyes did. I know you follow college basketball as I follow your Twitter. Hayden's a great follow. For anyone who doesn't follow him, you got to follow him on Twitter. He's great to follow. Hayden, if you had to, I mean it. Hayden, if you had to guess,
Like, can I do a little self promotion as well then?
Yes.
Sure, go for it. Yes.
So I don't know how it was included in this, but there is a Twitter account out there. It's called, hold on, I'm going to go see what it's called. It's called PlayClee216, PlayCle 216.
All right.
And for whatever reason, they've nominated me in their March Madness tournament, which happens to be the best Twitter account in Cleveland.
Okay.
So be on the lookout.
Well, you know what?
Oh, wow.
Beyond that,
I'm
Hayden,
beating Alan Cox.
I'm wondering if do they ever watch you on Facebook? This PlayClee 216. Do they
I don't know if they
see
do,
your
but-
Facebook lives because you're killing it on Facebook too. It doesn't matter the
I
medium, man.
appreciate
You're it's
I just can't believe I'm beating this guy.
I didn't realize who I was talking to today. Man, this is like a big time get here today, Jared.
well.
This is what
Now you know.
I don't know how this happened, but you know who I'm facing next round. Apparently, if this is right,
Who's this?
I'm done. I'm done after this.
Who?
I'm totally getting
It's not-
squashed by my boy Ken Carmen.
Oh goodness.
No, I know Ken. I'll text him. No,
I
no,
love
no.
Ken. I
Don't-
love him.
don't-
Of course, Ken's a Youngstown
Hey,
boy.
look,
Ken's a
look,
Youngstown
look.
boy. He's
Look.
got it in there. It's that's just it's not even
but-
fair sometimes with Ken.
Hayden, don't get scared by the paper, right? Don't you attack, man. You can go right at it. you get right in there.
Yeah,
I will. I'll go right in there.
I think
Exactly.
you should because
He knows I
it's
will, too.
maybe Ken is a little all bark no bite. I think you can do this, Hayden.
Oh, he is.
It's a
all
good bark.
bite.
It's a good
All
bark
bite.
though. It's a good bark, as I'm
It
saying.
is a good bark. That's pretty funny. Though.
All right.
That's awesome. So
That-
let's
that
go back
was-
to the round ball. Sorry,
Let's go
I
back to the
just
round
wanted
ball.
to mention that.
So here's the no.
I was hoping we'd stay distracted. Now I'm
Oh,
angry.
no. I'm bringing us back to bubble watch of the Buckeyes. So two quick things I want your opinion on. I think Holtzman survives, obviously, but I think he's on the hot seat next year. And B, do the Buckeyes get in the tournament if they lose out?
No.
There's no signs of
No, I
Weston
don't think
getting in.
I don't think they get in the tournament regardless.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I
still
think they're done.
Do you
No,
really?
I think they're done. Well, unless, of course, if they win the Big Ten tournament, that's fine. But that's
Right.
not happening either. So
Don't hold
and
your
they
breath.
just have too many bad losses. They don't play consistently well. They, like I said, they got thrashed by Northwestern. They got thrashed by Purdue. They look awful at times. They've been so up and down. They're not consistently good. So no, I don't think they get in the tournament. And Weston is still out. He's going to continue to be out. So no, I don't see them making the tournament. I just think, which is really disappointing because they had a really good year
Yes.
last year. I thought I was all in on Holtzman or Holtman. I was not there at the beginning. I was not on his bandwagon at all. I thought it was a horrible hire. I thought they got
Yeah.
their fourth or fifth guy, and because I'm a believer that Ohio State basketball, with all of the money they have, with all of the talent in Ohio, with all of the everything, the facilities, everything, they should be a top 25 basketball program every single year without
Yes.
a question. And they have been anything but that the last couple of years, and it's disappointing. So I wanted them to go get a big name, big hire that they could,
Yep.
get recruits in Ohio and go from there. And I think Holtman's been good at recruiting, but it's just disappointing for me to see that this guy had such a good year last year, and now it's like, it looks like really bad again. So
It's
we'll see
not
what
even
happens,
watchable.
but I don't think they make the tournament. No.
Right. And but let me apologize. Thank you for correcting me. It's Holtman. I don't know why I said Holtzman. I guess it's my Lou Holtz coming out of me there. So Holtman. but last question about that, then we'll wrap. Do you think Holtman survives next year? Meaning, do you think he can turn this around? If you had to guess.
Yes, because I hope, because again, I think that he has a good recruiting class coming in, which is really helpful, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he has all the opportunity in the world to make this work. But I don't know. I think he does make it just because his recruiting class is good, and I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, and I'll give him the opportunity to get his guys in there. But right now, it does not look good.
I'll say this. I think Holtman and Archie Miller have a lot of pressure on them next year to win. They better win.
Yeah,
they better
Archie Miller,
sure.
that's the guy I wanted for Ohio State, and he was terrible in Indiana.
I know.
I don't know what the issue is there.
Yeah, big years for both those guys. Big years.
Yeah. Well, maybe if Archie Miller doesn't find it, maybe they can switch places. Maybe Chris can go to Indiana and Archie can come home to Ohio State.
Make a trade. Exactly.
Or maybe we can stop talking about this depressing Ohio State basketball garbage and get back to talking about the Cleveland Browns and this great move, picking up Olivier Vernon, trading Kevin Zeitler. Damn it! Can we not?
No,
I had all these.
I know. I'm kidding.
So
actually, I'm wrapping it all up anyways. Hayden, we have stolen enough of your Friday afternoon. Much appreciated. Glad you were able to come on and give us a little more insight. And do us a favor, and since you're there, since you're on the scene, since you're going to see the Cavs, going to the Cavs game tonight.
No, I'm not. I'm not in Miami.
Oh, wait a minute. I apologize. Why did I think you? Okay, I'm so used to you being on the way to a Cavs game. I think that I just assumed that they were at home tonight.
No, I really wish I was in Miami. My parents live down there. I would have seen my friends down there, but no, I am not there. So
well,
I'll be interviewing Larry Nance Jr. tomorrow, though, so that'll be fun.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
All right.
Cool.
He's a super nice guy.
Oh yeah,
good Cav. By the way, not to go too far down the Nance Jr. rabbit hole, but that was a good for Cavs fans like me who remember Larry Nance playing. That was great to see. It's cool to see Larry Nance Jr. and it's good to see his dad hanging around. Such a cool thing. Yeah. It's a good thing for
Larry Nance Jr. is there all the time. He's there all the time.
Yes. Well, at any rate, Hayden, much appreciated as always. Thanks for always being available to come on the show. And I guess my point is when you're out on the town tonight, then tell all these people, as the words of Pulp Fiction. I won't get vulgar here, but be cool, honey bunny. Cool. This is everything's fine. We'll be all right. Moving a right guard.
It's a good right guard. It's a very good right guard, but it's a right guard, guys. It's not the end of the world. It's not like they traded a quarterback. They traded a right guard and a good one, but you got a much more valuable position out of it. You got a guy who can help with. I mean, and that helps. Like I said, it helps everybody. It helps their pass rush. Maybe it'll help Agba to move inside, and that gives you D line depth, which they desperately need. Now go get an inside linebacker, and let's keep it moving.
Hayden Grove, Cleveland.com. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you always.
Same. Take care. Thanks again to Hayden Grove of Cleveland.com for always donating his time and coming on the show. We really appreciate it. Helps get us some extra insight into what's going on, at least in the minds of folks back in Cleveland, and what he's hearing on the ground there. So, again, always a pleasure. Andy, I really don't think it can be, and I know it sounds like can you call it like a sour grapes? I don't know. I genuinely love this flipped script and a lot of it has to do with how Browns fans have been treated in their own stadium, in First Energy Stadium, for the past 19 years by fans of that team on Three Rivers. Am I wrong to feel this much enjoyment for the disaster that they find themselves going through right now?
Look, they are stuck. I mean, Hayden Grove had the same reaction we did. I don't know what you do. I don't know.
It's an S show.
It really is. And I'll tell you, it is an S show even for Rosenthal. I mean, I'm sorry, not Rosenthal. I was thinking Ken Rosenthal. Drew Rosenhaus. I think it's for everyone. I think he's really backed himself into a corner here, Jared. I think it's going to be hard. I think it's going to be really, really hard. And I think the Steelers are really, really spinning their wheels now. And by the way, I think even if they make a deal, it's going to take a lot of effort and string pulling. A lot. I mean, you're going to have to really grind out and work the phones, hit the ground pavement running. The Steelers are really stuck in the mud. And by the way, good for them. Enjoy, because it's time for them to be stuck in the mud.
So yeah, I mean that's Pittsburgh's problem, and it's not my problem. But I will watch from afar, and I will enjoy it. And you know what? You get what you deserve at the end of the day. It's not gonna surprise me, Andy. I know it sounds crazy. It's not gonna surprise me if either Antonio Brown just says I'm retiring and then comes out of retirement at some point, or and if that means he has to sit a year, he'll do it. I don't care. Or if the Steelers just say forget it and they end up cutting him. I don't know. I don't know how else this gets resolved. It just doesn't. There aren't teams. If they don't try to trade with the team that he wants to go to, he's just going to threaten to retire, same as he's already done. There's nothing else there.
Again, it's a lot of uphill climbing for that organization.
Yep.
And just to finish up on the trade today, then we'll wrap. I think the big thing here is trust Dorsey. Obviously, Jared, myself, and Hayden all agree we love this trade. In fact, most analysts do. It's a fair trade. It's a good trade, too, for the Giants. I think it makes a lot of sense here. In case you don't agree or whatever else, just remember this. And Dorsey, you trust, okay? Dorsey's done a great job. He has a good feel for his organization. He's pulled a lot of strings. I wasn't the biggest fan of Carlos Hyde. It ended up working out. I wasn't the biggest fan of some of these other things. It ended up working out. Trust Dorsey at the end of the day. Just remember that. Even if you don't like the move and you're not, whatever, but just remember, in Dorsey we trust. I think he's got a right mindset on. Reminder to everybody out there, free agency starts on the 13th. That's coming up. We'll do more on that next week. And again, the Browns are really in the news again, Jared. It's business as usual. Boy, they have been. There's one calm week, the week of the Combine, and that was it. Really, outside that, it's been a lot of Browns news. And again, it carries over today on Friday.
Andy and Jared at gmail.com. That's Andy and Jared at gmail.com. On Twitter at CLE and Beyond, at CLE and Beyond. On Facebook, facebook.com/Cleveland and Beyond. That's facebook.com/Cleveland and Beyond. The website, clevelandandbeyond.net or andyandjared.com. They'll both take you to the same place where you can listen to every episode of the podcast or follow along as Andy makes his picks and posts them on the blog right there, andyandjared.com. or clevelandandbeyond.net. We are a part of the Pulse Podcast Network. He's Andy Billman. I'm Jared Watson. This is Andy and Jared, Cleveland and Beyond. Thanks for listening. Take care.
He's a right guard.